I see that happening tonight.
Oh my gosh, are we on? We're live. Hi, this is Nina.
Hi, I've been waiting my hands
360 Metro 360 show with KMX, and we have a special. It's a special show tonight. I'm going to do a very quick introduction.
Very quick introduction.
We have a very special guest.
We have a very special guest. Who's the guest that we have on?
Well, I no longer refer to him as
Travis. Something about a Travis Barker.
Travis Barker of Philadelphia, because after research. After lots of research, I have just concluded that Travis Barker is actually the Chuck Treece of Los Angeles.
Wait, do we have Chuck Treece coming in?
Yes, we actually have Chuck Treece. He's here.
We're not worthy. We're not. No. I'm not good.
Reason being, and I just want to really quick to state, it's very, very important that we had Chuck Treece. I've been wanting to have him on the show for a long time, but more and more I've wanted him. It's grown exponentially in terms of my desire to have him on. Not only to have an interview with him, but basically because almost every guest that we've had on our show, at least recently especially, all talk about Chuck. We've everybody from Supreme to Liana,
Mike
to Baby Diaz,
Mike Tyler, didn't he say something?
Mike Tyler. It seems that everybody that walks through our doors here at the Trash Can Studios, and we have on our show for 191 Live, at some point the question is asked, where did it all begin? And almost every one of these artists from Philadelphia say, well, I got my start with Chuck Treece. How could so many people? How could Liana? How could Supreme? Supreme's absolutely obsessed with Chuck Treece. We have Liana. We have Mike Tyler. We have Incognito. We never talked about. How could so many people have their start with the same person?
If Philadelphia is Oz, who's the real wizard? Who's the man behind the curtain? I'm sorry, I got all this brown stuff on my nose.
I know. Be careful. Oh, man, you smell.
Wipe that up my nose. I'm sorry.
Your food is here.
Anyway,
awesome.
So we're going to bring him in here because we're limited for time. And the one thing that's also especially cool about this person is that he's so eclectic. He is a true Renaissance man in terms of his musicianship. How many instruments? I don't know how many he plays. We're going to find that out tonight.
How many patented pairs of sneakers? And,
legendary drummer, legendary guitarist, legendary songwriter, but also, how about this one? Punk rocker,
and let's not forget, sort of a bit of a skateboarder, professional skateboarder on top of that.
Extreme and endorsed professional skateboarder, who apparently he's got, what, he got a new line of mittens?
We're not worthy. No.
All right, we're going to cue to a video of Supreme and the New Experience, the video that I was there recording of at the World Cafe Live, and with yours truly on drums, and we'll be right back with Chuck Treece here at Studio 191 at the Trash Can. Hit it.
That old funk and nothing but the funk. That funk, that
something stinking here. Damn, there's something stinking here. We're too funky for y'all. I say, damn, there's something stinking here. Damn, there's something stinking here. Damn, there's something stinking here. We're too funky for y'all. That funk in the morning, in the night, when you funk and do it right, it's okay and that's alright. All man, that funk is out of sight. What you get is what you want. Little bits will make you jump. In your heart it starts to pump. That's when you know you got that funk. That old funk ain't nothing but the funk. That funk, that old funk ain't nothing but the funk. That funk. We ain't finished yet. Take off your clothes when you start to sweat. That funk. No time to pause. When you get done, ring out your drawers. That funk. Make you go all night. Have a good time. No need to fight. That funk. You got to make it last. Move to the front and shake your ass. Damn, there's something stinking here. Damn, there's something stinking here. Damn, there's something stinking here. What you fucking for y'all? Damn, there's something stinking here. Damn, there's something stinking here. There's something stinking here. What you fucking for y'all? That funk.
Yeah, we are back with Chuck Treece and KMX here at Studio 191 in the Trash Can. And Kevin, did you get all the brown off your nose?
I think it's inevitable when you have a nose as long as mine. It's just going to become permanent. It's just going to become permanent. Okay. So we're just got to keep this thing rolling. Now, Chuck, before the days of being a professional musician, you did something else that a lot of people would like to do professionally, especially in Narberth. Mm-hmm. You were a skateboardist, or a skateboarder. Now, again, there are a lot of skateboardists and skateboarders, but you were actually making a living skateboarding as of the early 80s, is that right?
Well, yeah, I mean, I stepped on my skateboard at age 13, and then I never stepped off of it. So when I moved to Philly in '82, after graduating, high school in Delaware, I just came up and met up with this guy Zeke Zagar, and his father's Isaiah Zagar, who's a huge artist in Philly. And so Zeke and I skated Cherry Hill Skate Park together, and then we started McRad. Zeke was 14, I was 19, and so we just kept skating and building this underground punk rock, reggae scene that we loved in Philly, because we were around a bunch of artists. They weren't just musicians, they were guys who were like in bands, but they were like really good graphic designers and really good film, people and really good photographers. And so we were all in this whole Rodman Street, South Street. Julia and Isaiah Zagar basically created, like, for me, and along with the Snydermans, connected the arts on South Street, and that's how we grew up. We put out a record, their parents put it in the front store, so we got a chance to learn how to promote ourselves. So that's why I was able to take skateboarding and make something out of it, because I was watching an artist, Isaiah and his family do the same thing. So, so you were a pro skateboarder during this period. Is that pretty much like your primary job, like for all those? Well, I started out amateur, and then I turned pro, and at that time, they weren't really paying out that much money. It was just enough to get, get a flight to, to the West Coast and get out there and hook up. You always got free gear and perks of just what still goes on in skateboarding now. There's a little bit more money, per se, but it's still the same thing. It's like you have to get out there and make friends and make connections, and that's more or less what our pro status was. We took it from the 70s and kind of early 80s when the parks were open, and then they shut down, and then we were just left to just a number of us, like 10 of us that just skated in Philly alone. So we just kind of built it, from Philly to New Jersey to New York, and then like further down south, and then we started fanzines that went from East Coast to West Coast and Midwest to East Coast and down. It was a big, Shepherd. All those guys came out of that punk rock energy.
So and then doing this, so then also on the side, that's when you form McRad.
Yes.
And you guys put out one album during that period. I forget the name of it.
Well, we put out Dominant Force, which is kind of like a EP, album EP. Before Dominant Force, we put out Get Off Our Backs, which is a compilation Red Records put out of like all the different bands that we kind of grew up with, and we were kind of the younger band. There were Bunny Drums was on that. They had been on that record. Ruin was on that record. Why Die was on that record. So all the Philly bands that were playing the East Side Club and Love Hall, the original Philly punk rock scene. It's kind of crazy.
Right. So then it's around 1990. That's when you, I wouldn't say retired. Retirement's always a weird word, but that's around the time you sort of left professional skateboarding.
Yeah.
So the whole game had changed by that point, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, it's a different thing of what comes through. I mean, I could have easily just said, well, music is just my passion, and then just get a job working for a skateboard company, which is a lot of people do. They become team manager and do this and that, and still actively get out there because you're going to skate events, which I still do now.
Right.
But it was, since I had grown up playing music, I had options to go out and tour, and that's when things like playing for the Bad Brains would come through, or Urge Overkill, or a bunch of different other bands, the Goats, Disposable Heroes. So
that's what starts happening around the early '90s when you were able to focus more on music.
Yes.
But you weren't doing this. You ever think about becoming, in the meantime, instead of like skateboard, maybe a professional tricyclist or unicyclist? You think that would come up?
Excuse me for coughing.
Because I tried doing that pretty much around the same time you were doing that. I was like, I was just learning how to ride a regular bike around this time, and then instead I'm thinking, wait a minute, what if I stuck with my tricycle, but I just did it up? But I guess there wasn't really an opportunity in that. So instead of staying as a pro skateboardist or again becoming a professional tricyclist or unicyclist,
right.
That's right around the time you started you started focusing more on music. So go with this. You were playing with the Bad Brains. You first auditioned as a vocalist.
Yeah. Then I got asked back to play drums. For that, and in between dealing with the Bad Brains, I was playing guitar for Underdog. I mean, we did a record together called Vanishing Point, which I played the leads on and stuff like that. And so Underdog was a big New York band,
right?
Kind of like did its own thing,
And Bad Brains, one of the first hardcore bands. This is around the time they were signed to a major label.
Yeah,
right?
Epic. Yeah.
Epic. So this is, I think they put out, what was it? Gotta Love later on. This is right before that.
Yeah, this is called Rise. Yeah, it was like Rise came out like around '94. They did a tour for a year with Living Color opening up for them with Mackie playing drums, and Israel was the lead singer, not HR. And then once Mackie decided to go his way, then they called me and said, hey, we have a tour of Japan and some other tours of Europe and an American tour. Do you want to come on? So they gave me 5 days to learn all the songs, and
wow,
I had to go at it pretty hardcore. It was scary.
Wow. So it's around this time. So you play with them, but really as a fill-in status.
Yes.
And then you were working with the Goats around this time, right?
Yeah, the Goats were like but a little bit before when I started playing with Bad Brains, because I started doing session work for Rough House. It was like 89, 90.
This is about the time you worked with Mike Tyler.
Yeah,
hear all about that. Okay.
Yeah, right.
Okay, so 89, 90, you worked with Rough House Records.
And Rough House had signed the Goats, and the Goats were positioned as this live hip-hop band, which they were. They weren't just doing things just the way typical hip-hop bands were. They were actually taking live instrumentation and sampling and looping.
Yeah, and I remember the Goats back in the mid-90s. I remember when it seemed like so many of my classmates were into them, where it was really looking like around this time it was really looking like they were going to take off sort of beyond that, make it nationwide, which didn't quite happen. But you say that name around Philly to this day, right. People remember.
Yeah, the Ghosts were a big band. I mean, we sold out, the truck. I mean, just on our own, like just no major, push other than just us playing shows, and my involvement with them is we played our first shows together with me playing with them. I mean, they had done some parties, but we had to start doing things because they were signed to Rough House, and we had to get things together. So they invited me to join the band, and we started working things out, and then we did a tour with this band called Consolidated.
Okay.
Band from San Francisco area. and we did it 1 month with them, and then I went on to do some other things, and then they kept going on and touring, and then we joined back forces again. So I've done about 3 or 4 different tours with the Goats.
Okay, I see. Because the Goats, from what I understand, do they have? Was their lineup in flux a lot?
Well, I don't. I mean, it changed. I mean, the original lineup, which is me, Pierce, Derek, EJ, and then the Rhymers, which are they never really changed, and Sean, DJ actually Sean. That clique of musicians stayed. We all played together for about 3 to 4 years, maybe 5 years.
A lot of people on that.
We would interchange. Like if EJ couldn't make it because he had another gig, then I would come in and play bass. If Derek couldn't make it, then I would switch and play drums, or sometimes.
So it was always sort of fluid, the lineup. In the
yeah,
Goats.
because everyone had different obligations, and when you get on a label and your band becomes known, other people will start to take other gigs because work comes in, and if it's interesting, you're going to want to take it because we're creative musicians, we're creative people in general, but you don't want to just like be stagnant, and that's one thing I did like about the Goats is the fact that we could exchange members, and it would still be a good show.
Right, now, not long after that, they said that the Goats didn't really make it internationally, but not long after that, the Roots, another like a live hip hop group, they came in and they ended up they ended up getting a couple gold records. They ended up becoming a big international success. You think maybe that the Goats helped really pave the way for the Roots?
For sure, because like the Goats were the first hip hop band out of Philadelphia with live instrumentation that was signed to a label, and like a kind of like a indie to a major label, because Rough House had a direct pipeline with Columbia, so whatever would get promoted. The Fugees were in the same situation. They just had something different, and I guess with Lauryn Hill and
sounds like the Wolf Studio 4 to me.
Yeah. So another thing that I do remember about the Goats is it was definitely. I'm no expert on them, but I just remember a very varied sound in there. And I remember like one song, for instance. This was a song that a lot of my classmates loved back in the day, "Rumblefish."
Yeah, Rumblefish is a great song.
And it sounded a lot like Korn. That's sort of that what they
really.
Well, they would call it. It would go on to be called like new metal, where it sounds that very like low. I don't know if that song was detuned, but it had that really low, bassy sound, that sort of boing rhythm that came out. And that's sort of like a what do they call it, like a dazed, or maybe even like the lackadaisical verse, where it's sort of chill, and then it gets into it like it's the same format that Korn would strike gold with, and it came out the same time as Korn's. As Korn's debut, and
that's wild.
Of course, now now what happened with that sound later on got kind of dragged them up. More people came in it, but I mean, in the beginning, that's when it was something that was very exciting. Like, how much did you play on the records?
I played on the first record. I'm on like one song. I think it's Diggs Dug. I think I'm on that one on the first record, and then on No Goats, No Glory.
Guts.
I'm on a couple, like 1 or 2 different tracks, and there's one song called "Idiot Business" and everything. But the whole sound of Rumblefish was basically when I first joined, it was like they were just more or less going for the hip hop thing, and I was just like, guys, we should just like play louder, play harder, play faster. And at that point, they didn't know who the Bad Brains were. Like they were just kind of. I think the drummer knew Derek, but the rest of the guys didn't, and they went on tour with him. And then they said, I can play hard and still have a groove. And then we just started developing this sound. And so Rumblefish and, Idiot Business and just like Schizo was the song that we had on like a little EP. All that stuff started coming out of because we realized if we're going to be playing bigger venues, you have to put some kind of element of rock and roll into your show.
Yeah.
It's necessary regardless of whatever music you're doing. Yeah. Rock and roll has to be there.
And then I remember, like, this is back in '95. I was just graduating from middle school, and the reason why I want to bring it up is there was a middle school talent show that year. I remember one band, they got up and they did Rumblefish.
Wow.
Right around that time. Now, I could probably get in touch with them and maybe see if I can get them all to reform and open for you next time you do a gig. They'd have to do everything exactly the way they did it in '95, which I think actually it's probably better off that you guys didn't hear them. Well, no, I'm just kidding. It was a nice high octane cover, but again, when when you hear the real thing, that's that's something else. So anyway, later on, but just in the early '90s, that's when your career hit a real milestone, and that's with a certain when you got on a certain Billy Joel song.
Yes.
And when you played session bass.
Yeah.
With Billy Joel. So I guess the real question is, how did you land that one?
Well, once again, it's basically through the whole connection to Studio 4, which is right on like on 3rd Street in Philadelphia. It was the original place where I met Jay Davison in California. He's a sax player from Philadelphia. He was playing for Cinderella, and we were both at a video shoot together. He was actually in the band in the video, and I was in the video also as an extra. And so we started talking because I had just finished my record with Caroline Records, and I was moving back to Philly. So he was like, "Hey, come down to the studio. I'll introduce you to everyone." And so I go down to the studio. He introduces me from some guys from the Hooters and Joe Nicolo, Phil Nicolo, all these different people.
Phil.
And then I start doing session work, and then all of a sudden I get this call. I was like, "We got this track. It's a Billy Joel song. It's a remix. We need you to come down here." So I just bought this 5-string Epiphone bass, in South Philly. I just bought it for like $300, and I just went in, and they were like, "All right, we just need you to play a very simplistic line over this thing. It's a remix." Because basically what happened was Billy Joel was in a situation where he was managed from somebody by someone, and then that manager just embezzled a bunch of money and
destroyed him, dude.
Yeah,
it was his brother-in-law.
I remember hearing about that. He had to do a stadium tour with Elton John to make that money back.
So basically he was cutting a record in New York, he was cutting a record in LA, basically just utilizing the time of just capturing everything. And then all of a sudden Joe and Phil Nicolo were doing a bunch of remixes for everything that was coming through Columbia, and that remix that we were recording ended up being the title track of the record. Before they were just going to release it as a B-side.
How dare someone's phone rings during this? But so
fingers is mine too, right?
Yes. How important do you think you? Oh, I think my phone's vibrating now. So
it's on vibrate.
Yes. So, anyways, so you did the remix of this single.
Yeah, and that remix was slotted. It turned out instead of it being a remix, it was the title track of the record because of the work that we put into it. Myself was on it, Mike Tyler, Andy Kravitz, Jay Davison, Randy Canner. I mean, it was like the whole. We called ourselves the A Team, and Jeff Lee Johnson was on it, but it was just crazy how many great musicians were on that track, and when we knew that we had a chance to make something monumental because it was Billy Joel, and the song was kind of like a spiritual, a gospel spiritual.
Yeah.
It was easy for me to just lock into it because I knew that the pre-production and what they were going into. I mean, they put a lot of work into it, and
you got your start, playing in hardcore bands. By this point in time, you're doing like gospel pop, like it's sort of like a complete turnaround in the career, but it's something that for you, you just lock, like you said, you just locked right into it.
Yeah, it was great.
And so this became the main version of the song. This was the hit. This is, if you go on YouTube right now, plug that in. That's it. Yeah, you're playing behind that video.
Yeah,
so
it's like I'm playing the bass on it. And actually, Billy Joel wasn't even actually in the studio. It was all, we just got the tracks sent to us, because normally when they send someone a remix, they just send the audio, and then you basically have to revamp the song. And sometimes it's the different version, they like it, and then they go with it. So that's basically what it was, because we were always doing remixes. We were always recording live in the studio with great gear, great engineers, great.
Was this mostly digital, or was this all tape? All tape.
They're amazing.
As I say, that's right.
They're
93. So we're
amazing
talking
guys.
like
Yep. All tape.
What would they do? Would they literally FedEx, UPS, or carrier over
they
large
just
reels and shit?
Yeah, but there was mail in the reels of tape, and then they would basically put it on the Studer, and then they would make either probably a bounce of just the vocal and everything else, and then take those master tapes and put them somewhere else, and then restripe tape again, and either bounce them back so they can going to start tracking. But we tracked it on the SSL board, which is a totally kick-ass board.
Yeah.
You know, just
And Chuck, I take it now you've done it digitally. You've shared tracks digitally with
yeah,
people.
oh yeah,
So
all the time.
it's
yeah.
amazing within what? Because this Billy Joel project 92, 93.
Yeah.
But Pro
something
Tools
around
was sort of in like a beta stage back then, I think.
Betamax stage.
10, yeah, but you look at
Betamax.
you probably look what you could probably see within 10 years because you're hands on with the whole
Right.
industry. Like
Yeah.
93, they're FedEx and giant reels.
Yeah,
2003,
I know.
you're sending
I
an
know.
email out.
It's
Email.
crazy.
It's
Really
crazy.
send
10
it.
years.
I know,
10 years,
I know,
and it all
I know.
switched up like
And
that.
the crazy is going to get even crazier with touchscreen because somebody from Verizon was actually working on. Flinch was living up in Bucks. We had like a lightning storm and the power went out and the internet went down. And so we're getting it back up and the guy was like, okay, I'm going to help you out, but I'm going to operate your computer from my end. And he was able to basically go on my screen and operate it from his point, where he was sitting. So if that's the case, well, everyone will have that option. Then you can be able to go on and edit, you know, virtually anywhere if you're working with someone, you know, recording-wise, because sharing files is one thing, but to be able to edit on the spot, if you get an idea, if you're working on something, that's just priceless. Because, you know, things do happen at lightning speed when you're in a recording studio.
Right.
That's why there's just so much to
Now,
do it.
now from there, from that point on, that's pretty much haven't looked back as far as like like who of like I know you've worked with Pearl Jam.
You know what? We're short on time.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah,
So I'm
so-
going to interject my producer, Big Mouth South, and I want to just get, number one, if Chuck could be kind enough to just give us a good, just a rundown of people, people you've worked with.
Okay.
I want you to brag. We're making you brag about yourself for once. People don't know. People just don't have
Yeah,
any
like,
kind
who are
of
some-
so low profile. You're
like
such a sleeper.
some big names.
Yeah,
like,
good.
you ever work with Justin Bieber or
Just-
Chris
Give us a
Cross?
good rundown,
maybe,
and then I want to know what you're doing right now.
Okay.
I want to hear about Liv. I want to hear about Team Spaz
Okay.
and about what's next, and also a little bit about the Lemonhead. So go ahead,
Okay.
shoot.
So I'll start with Olivia. Olivia and I are going to be working on new music. We spent a year together writing in Bucks County and doing shows, and it was something that she wanted to do. And she was actually here with Supreme, you know, once.
You did it a few times.
Yeah, so now Olivia is working in New York City for a magazine called Manhattan, or The Manhattan. And
Is she digging it?
She's loving it.
She loving it?
Yeah, she's loving it.
She must be loving
It's a new
it.
job, and it's a new career for her, and she likes that. And it's good, and I love working with Liv. I mean, we're more family. I got to know her family. She knows my family. So
She's sweet.
it's in the Lemonheads. It was great working with Evan. We did 14 weeks of touring. 9 was in the States. 5 was in Europe. Evan's a great songwriter. I miss hearing him sing. It's not that he's still alive. It's just he's off touring and doing things again.
How quick did they hit you with that? Like, hey, come tour with us. Was that like something?
we had about a week to learn about 20 songs. Not even. I mean, we had 2 rehearsals, and then we had 1 rehearsal with Evan, and then we went, you know, on tour. And then we had to switch bass players. That guy who was actually doing front of house sound for the American tour actually played bass on the European tour.
What did you do for you played?
I played drums.
Of course.
Yeah.
Well, actually, I followed you on that tour a little bit. Your little notes, you were so kind to keep putting them up. Because we missed you at the Job Inc. show, where we had Liv and Scream. So, what is next for? What are you involved with right now?
What I'm involved with right now is I bought a sample of this sneaker that's coming out.
Oh, we get sneakers. You hold those up. We got it.
And it's
I want
my
a pair.
Nike sneaker.
How did you get the Nike? Is this through the unicycle, tricycle thing?
Yes, for skateboarding, unicycle, chickens.
Old school skateboarding?
Of whatever skateboarding. Yeah, 84 and 86, basically. 84 is when McRae, the first version of McRae, we broke up. And then 86 is when we released Absence of Sanity, and Weakness was on that record, and Weakness is kind of a skate anthem in the skateboard world. We were on a label called Beware Records. The record's called Absence of Sanity, and Stacy put Weakness and McShred into public domain, and that spawned this whole connection with skateboarding and music. They call it skate rock. So,
Pull up those kicks.
you know, I talked to my friend Jürgen over in Germany. And
Oh my God, Jürgen, Germany, is he a journalist?
He worked at, no, he's
Okay.
a graphic designer. So he worked for Nike doing a
Well,
bunch of
that'd be
SB Dunk releases. He said he had a connection. We emailed Kevin at Nike, and they, you know, went through the ideas of, you know, getting it done, and it worked. So it's been a year in the making, and they'll be in stores in January everywhere. So thank you, Nike. Thank you, Jürgen.
There we
Thank
go,
you,
finally.
Bryce.
So sort of like a
You get a
professional.
smile with those. Finally get the flash working.
You think those will outdo the Air Jordans in
I
popularity?
don't know.
You walk up to Michael Jordan and be like, hey, you think you're cool? Well, Kobe Bryant, he's a good local celebrity. Oh, you think you're cool? You got your sneak? Look at these, chum. You could say that to him, and
You want to
then
break some ankles? Get you a pair of Treeces.
you get a pair of
What
Treeces.
are those
Get you a
called?
pair of
What are those
Treeces.
officially called? Those are
It's a
called.
nice. It was a Nike SB Dunk, the McRad Dunk, or you know.
Oh, he's got a big rad on it?
Yeah,
That's
so-
so fucking rad.
Yeah, it says McRad. It says Mick right here,
Oh, no
and
way.
then Rad.
Did I hear the guy playing bass the other night for McRad is part of the day? He plays with the Dead Milkmen as well.
Yeah.
Who is
Dan.
that? Because he did not look familiar to me for some reason.
Dan Stevens. Basically, I was doing a session with Dan over at Milk Boy, which is the old Larry Gold studio,
Yeah.
and I forget the name of the artist we were playing for, but Dan was in playing bass, I was playing drums, and then we started emailing, and he was like, hey, I just want to get out and do more work and do other things, and so I just started inviting him around, and he's also been playing with this guy Mike Pinto, who's an artist from Philly. So, you know, Dan's great. He's a great bass player, a good guy, and you know, Dead Milkmen are like, you know, friends and you know, musical heroes.
You're like the big lizard in the backyard. So anyway, I just find it so interesting. You've done so many things, and I do have footage that I have not put up yet from that show the other night when I wasn't allowed to bring my camera. I still had my cell phone.
Right. And then,
But
and what I can do is
rubbing
like,
it.
if you want an extensive, an exact list of people that I've played with, I can either email that where you guys can post it, or I can
Scroll
just
through the
or
credits.
just spout it
still
off
won't
right
do it
now
on
and be like,
Horn. He still won't do it.
Chuck,
Still
hey.
won't.
Hey Chuck,
So-
you know what they're gonna do? We're gonna get that huge list. We're gonna scroll through the credits to the Benny Hill theme music.
nice.
You got it.
Betty
You
Hill.
got it, man. You got it,
Thank you.
definitely. We should
No,
get him on a
that's-
pogo stick. Can you pogo stick, by the way?
Yeah, some of the importance.
can't
You can
unicycle,
pogo
but he can
stick?
pogo stick?
Can you pogo stick?
Nah, I've tried it a
Damn.
little bit.
Joe
but
Jordan
not
can
really.
pogo
I mean,
stick.
I used to pogo when I went to punk rock shows as like a youth, but that's a whole.
Would you like to try to pogo stick?
I don't know if I could try it now.
Pogo stick means the unicycle. You have the bouncing,
Would that be cool to get Chuck Treece on a pogo stick in the backyard? Be like Tox went to the fire pit.
Right, pogo. But okay, but no. So people that of importance for me.
But we're gonna Ben Hill it. But go ahead. But go ahead. Just on top
I'll
of
give,
you.
I'll give about 10 or whatever.
You have 10 seconds. Go ahead.
The first one was Timmy Dredd from Timmy and the Dub Warriors, who I learned how to play reggae from in Philly. He was the first person I ever played reggae music with in North Philly, him and Tristan, so thank you for that. It went from there to jamming with guys from like Toxic Reasons and goofing around in the punk rock scene. Then, you know, playing drums for Bad Brains and playing bass for Teddy Pendergrass and jamming with Bunny Sigler, who's a huge Philadelphia person, big songwriter. Played live show with Billy Paul. I've done stuff with T.M. Stevens. I've also done some stuff out at NAMM with Will Lee. Played with The Roots. Played with D'Angelo. Playing guitar. Played with Pearl Jam. Jamming with those guys on a Green River tribute. Urge Overkill. Disposable Heroes. The Goats. Jeez, man. That's a lot. There's a lot.
Let me ask you, who is Ray?
Oh, Santi too, Santo Gold, because we had a band called Stiffed.
what about Cannibal
Who is
Corpse?
Ray?
Ray Barbie?
Yes, who is Ray Barbie?
Ray Barbie is a musician, skateboarder from Long Beach, California. Ray and myself and Tommy and Matt have a band called Blacktop. We're an instrumental skateboard group,
Guys,
all pro
let's check you out.
skateboarders. We
We're gonna
out
put a play video for
the
them.
record and a half, and we've done a couple of tours. Ray's a great. Ray and Tommy, we all kind of grew up together out of the whole kind of like Mike Watt phase and like aura and era of music. That's kind of how we connect. I mean, we connect through skating, but kind of connected to that like kind of artsy, eclectic musician
Hipster.
thing, you
No.
know. I mean, we could be hipsters, but we've been in it a little bit longer than to say hipsters. I mean, we could be mod per se.
Mod.
Mod.
There you go. You're kind of a Renaissance. You're kind of a Renaissance mod.
I don't think you're wearing that hoodie to be ironic either. So.
I mean,
I'm not going to make fun of hipsters.
No, you have to.
I will not make fun of hipsters.
It's not like a paraplegic wearing a real skateboard.
But I will say the one thing about hipsters, when I knew that something was wrong, is when I was in Brooklyn in a club and they were line dancing to a song, and I was just like, "Oh, you gotta be."
And it wasn't the
It wasn't country, and I was just like, "This is lame."
It wasn't the.
If it was country, I'd be like that.
It wasn't the wobble.
See, I might be
It
a
wasn't
hipster,
a
just I don't
wobble
have
either.
any
It wasn't a
fashion
wobble.
sense.
And it's not like I would ever think hipster music is great. But
Oh, no,
to
but
me,
Electric
it's
Slide,
like,
come on, Chuck, just do it.
they were, I couldn't handle it. I was like, I used to watch my mom and her friends do the slide, and that was great.
That was
But
at a
just
wedding.
For people line dancing that were too cool to be tongue-in-cheek, I was like,
What
that's
about
too much.
the wobble line dance though? That kind of freaks me out. When Supreme showed me that, I was like, wait a minute, they're line dancing. That doesn't seem right.
I don't know. I mean, I guess...
It's a
I mean,
wobble.
Who's the queen of the wobble?
We haven't found her yet. We're going to find her.
I don't
Do you
know.
like her
I don't,
shake?
I don't know if she'll ever show up. I mean, it all depends. I mean, she may just show up at a show, or there may be a bunch of queens.
It's going to be an ongoing process.
Yeah, and I mean,
To find the best booty.
Yeah, in this world,
Booty wobble.
a queen is enjoyed on both sides of the coin. So it's whoever is the
Especially
best
if you
queen
Google it.
of the wobble. You know what
Especially
I
if you got googly eyes too.
Google it out. Google it.
All right, we're going to close out. I want to thank Chuck so much for being here.
Thank
I know you
you.
guys
Shout
split
out
out
to
getting to work,
Supreme, yeah.
and I want you to be able to take your food with you at least, or at least be able to try to have inhale it real quick. We're going to Betty Hill, your credits, and I just want to thank you for being here. Where can we see you play next locally?
We're doing something on the Rob Relievous show, but that's not, you know what I mean.
Oh no. Oh, did you
You
stop?
have another Benny Hill list
Don't
coming.
even go there at the outhouse right now.
But I think the next time we're actually playing, we're going to be doing something in January because we're right in the middle of like the holiday thing, and everybody right now is pretty much family gifted because of our age and things to do.
Speaking of such, is it true that you are you engaged?
I can clear up the engage. I'm working on the engagement. And I'm working.
So curious.
I think he just blew his spot up.
I just
No. I will.
No, it's not. It's just like
We already went through this the other night.
You don't understand. I had it all planned out
No,
tonight.
no,
She's watching this right now.
She know.
You blew up his spot.
It's no, for real. It's definitely no. I mean, this person's really special to me, so I'm just doing my best to make it all happen. You know what I mean? It's something that's like really close to me.
Yo, this is like totally new, and now it's a big mystery. Now it's going to be like, blah, and everybody's going to want to know. Keep us updated as there's your private life and everything. And you are a very private person. That's why most people do not know. Just like all incredible things you've done, and that's the main purpose of me wanting you to be on the show, is I wanted to toot your horn for you and just let everybody know what an incredible human being you are. And all the stuff you're doing and everything you've done and continue to. And
So much
I'm
brown
dying
stuff
to
on our
see-
noses.
No, mine's not brown. No, I'm being completely honest, and I'm being completely authentic. I do want to.
Let me wipe that off your nose.
We were going to put a half. We were going to put a half pipe in the backyard or whatever, and
we still should.
then I invite Bam over and to common enemy. Except they can't skate. Did you know that?
Or common enemy.
I don't think they can skate.
They're all fat.
They are not.
I just saw them at the RI.
No, but seriously, I want to see you
Oh,
skate.
but
I'm dying to see that you skate. I've never seen you skate in person.
All right, so March 1st, there's a show in Reading with DRI, Common and
Oh, my
Enemy
boys,
and
we just saw
McGrath.
them. We just saw them.
So yeah, that's the next one that's going to be that I know.
Awesome. Well, is that at the at Frank Robia's place?
Yeah, Frank is booking a new venue, so we're
Oh, a
gonna
new
try
venue?
doing it.
On top of the other one?
I think so. I mean, I don't because we were talking the other night at the X show at TLA, and he's got some crazy different
He's
venues.
got that one doing well. Anyway, shout out to Frank Phobia and Limit is Doom for that measure. And so we can see you March 1st, you said, and we're going to put up a listing of where we're going to see you next. We're going to place. Are we going to be able to get McGrath on our show or what?
Yeah, for sure.
But we're going to do that at the venue where you have a live studio audience and you can blow it out.
Okay.
It's even they've got some cement floor there. You know, we can put some wheels on. So
Nice.
Yeah. So anyway, thanks a lot for being
Skateboarders
here.
wearing
There's
helmets.
dirt all around here.
Don't wear a helmet.
And knee pads. Skateboarders always wear knee pads.
Yes, they do, especially if they're Kevin.
Yes.
One if they're gangsters.
I'm trying
No,
to get
I
Kevin.
shouldn't get on a skateboard, period.
No, you shouldn't, but we'll put you on roller skates.
No, I'll see about that.
Right. Well, I like your the basement.
Oh yeah,
It's
this
nice
is welcome
here.
to the trash can. And next party we have where you're definitely invited. Of course, we usually have bonfire out back and everything, but it's a quiet night. So, anyway, did order you a cheesesteak. You up for eating real quick?
Oh, I don't eat meats.
Oh, we got cheese pizza, no meat.
No, I don't even eat cheese.
Oh, he's. Oh,
Maybe just
are
few
you a
minutes in the green
vegan?
room before-
Are you a vegan?
No, I'm vegan. I have a very strict diet. I have to keep.
Well,
this,
that's why you're
this-
in good shape. Look at you.
Yeah.
That's what I need to do.
So that's what I need to do,
Yeah.
Yeah, that's what Kevin. No more meat, no more cheese.
No more Kevin.
Good answer. Thanks a lot, Chuck. And we will
Thank
be
you.
listing your upcoming dates and your everything else. Rebroadcast through iTunes on podcast, as well as rebroadcast of this video live on Friday. It will be rebroadcast 8 p.m.
All right.
for
Thank
360
you for
Live.
having me.
And thank you,
All right.
Chuck Treece.
You.
Queuing tight. Credits. You can. Oh no, we're gonna play a video quick.
Yeah,
Ray
pleasure.
Barbie,
All right.
Ray Barbie and Chuck Treece, followed by a McRad weakness video. So we got 2 videos coming up with Chuck's queuing up. This is Chuck with Ray Barbie live. See the video.
Message came out.